Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've been wanting to cover this topic for a couple days now. Here's an article written by Eleanor Terrett and Charles Gasparino, both with Fox Business, titled Regulatory Riddle, an investigation into the SEC versus Ripple case and its consequences for crypto. And so they delve into everything having to do with the SEC versus Ripple case, including SEC personal interests, from the likes of Billy Hinman and Gary Gensler, Jay Clayton, all of our favorite humans. Yeah, they're all included in here. And so the reason I hadn't covered it quite yet is because this is it's not like a short article. I printed this thing up and it was like 32 pages. And I'm not complaining. I love the degree to which they got into the nitty gritty. A lot of the stuff that we've known and been covering for, almost an entire year at this point. But I was like, okay, I want to cover this right. I'm going to have to actually block off some time, and especially with Thanksgiving just being the other day, I was like, okay, I'll do it very soon. And I'll tell you what, the article does not disappoint. There are only a few little things where you could nitpick in terms of the way something is worded, this or that. Does nothing to detract from the overall article itself. You can tell, like, just an insane amount of work went into this thing. And there's perspective that, and details that we wouldn't have probably ever heard without Charles Gasparino and Eleanor Terrett looking into this. And there's just a couple things I'll even mention here in the intro that I found fascinating. I'll get into the specifics later, but just like how Ripple, they were talking about how Ripple responded when they found out that Ethereum was getting a free pass. Remember the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech in 2018, and then there's nothing said about XRP. That set off alarm bells, and so they talk about how Ripple responded to that internally. And also, we got some information about how a very well-known SEC commissioner actually voted in terms of whether or not to bring the SEC versus Ripple case to fruition, like actually bring the complaint. There's so much interesting stuff in here. Now, given how in-depth and incredible this piece is, I can't go through I read the whole thing, and what I did is you can hear this, got some dead trees in my hand here. I printed up this big bad bitch here. It's awesome. And I just highlighted the parts that I found to be most interesting. I've got page markers with notes and stuff here, and I'm just going to run through the parts that I found to be the most interesting. So I hope you enjoy this, but tons of credit to Charles Gasparino and Eleanor Terrett for bringing all of this information to the public. This has been extremely widely circulated, and I'll tell you what, having a more informed public on this topic is only good for XRP holders, because I believe that we're on the right side of history. But I do want to be clear at the outset, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so the first part I want to run through here that I highlighted has to do with actually voting whether or not to bring this case against Ripple in the first place. So check this out. Much is riding on the outcome of the Ripple case. The ongoing fight has caused some members of Congress to rethink crypto regulation and caused friction inside the SEC. Increasingly, GOP commissioners like Hester Peirce, the so-called crypto mom, want her nominal boss, Gensler, to back off crypto regulation. Peirce earned that moniker for her advocacy of crypto over the years, and she is floating an idea of a safe harbor that stalls all future SEC enforcement actions until a more holistic regulatory framework is enacted. She wants Congress to take into account crypto's unique status as an important technology that needs to be nourished as opposed to attacked by the government. Now, check this out, and I have not heard this anywhere else, and I've talked about this, but this is the first I've ever seen this. They write, Peirce was one of the two commissioners who voted against the full commission bringing the charges against Ripple. And so we knew that the vote was what it was, 3-2, but we didn't know, because there's 5 SEC commissioners. So for those of you not know, there's 5 SEC commissioners, 5 humans that decide whether or not to bring complaints against individuals and businesses, so on and so forth. And so Hester Peirce was one of them. And given the way that she's publicly spoken out about the lack of clarity from the SEC, and a number of other reasons. I always suspected that she would have voted against the Ripple case, but I've been saying for the longest time, I haven't seen any word of that. I hadn't seen any proof. So this is the first time I've seen it reported anywhere that Hester Peirce did vote against bringing charges to Ripple. I'm not surprised. I'm definitely not surprised. But again, it's the first time I've actually seen this here. And as far as the safe harbor stuff too, yeah, it's worth mentioning this. It seems like an excellent idea, but Gary Gensler, he actually hasn't even read the proposal from Hester Peirce. When he was asked that question, I covered this too. But when he was asked that question publicly, he's just dodging it. He's very clearly dodging it. You know, if he doesn't like it, that's one thing. But he was asked, "Have you read it?" And he just started answering. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but he started like answering some sort of the question. Very clear indication. He just hasn't even bothered to look into it. He just can't be bothered with that. Plus, how would that help him in his endeavors to basically take over the world? SEC dictator and supreme leader Kim Jong-gary, everybody. All right, next. All told, the Clayton SEC brought 87 crypto-related actions, a significant tally, mostly involving ICOs that traded like stocks, but their sales were not registered with the commission, making them essentially illegal. But one clearly stood out from the pack: Ripple. It was Clayton's final act as chairman of the SEC, and it would emerge as the most important and controversial regulatory marker for the nascent industry. Delivered just hours before Clayton... sorry, my screen just refreshed and it caught my... I don't know why it did that. Just brought me to the top. Actually, you know what? I didn't realize that their website did this, but I see there are a number of news websites. It's annoying. Like, you're scrolling through, and then it's like, they're like, well, we're going to update the page in case something new happened, and it's updated. And then it's like, but I was reading the article. Why? Just don't do that. Now you distracted me, ruining this Moon Lambo hot jam. Anyway, just trying to deliver all the deets, man. Anyway, delivered just hours before Clayton would leave the post on December 22nd, 2020, the SEC filed an enforcement action against Ripple and its two senior executives, Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, for failing to seek SEC approval and register sales of the XRP cryptocurrency while using the profits to build out the Ripple platform. The move made sales of XRP illegal in the eyes of the commission and put Ripple possibly on the hook for $1.3 billion, the amount of XRP the SEC believes was illegally sold. Now, the move also immediately raised eyebrows in the crypto world, which was on its way to becoming a $3 trillion business. For starters, and check this out, for starters, the SEC didn't appear to have broad regulatory powers in the crypto space. That role belongs to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, known as the CFTC. And so look, Charles and Eleanor, in writing this piece, they made it very clear. They stated it multiple times throughout, and for good reason. They want to make sure that they're coming across as intended, which is basically as neutral parties, just bringing the facts that you can make your own conclusion, which I think is nothing but respectable. I love the way that they approach this here. And so all they're doing here is acknowledging the facts. And again, here, that sentence, let me read it one more time. For starters, the SEC didn't appear to have broad regulatory powers in the crypto space. That role belongs to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC. And so it's well understood that the SEC is just going for like a tremendous power grab over the entire crypto space. And so part of that is the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, but you can think about the way they're tackling, now cryptocurrency exchanges are going after DeFi, NFTs, just you name it. Gary Gensler's coming for you if you're in crypto. And it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. And so all they're doing is pointing out the facts. It makes more sense generally for the CFTC to be involved, to have a heavier hand on this stuff. Not that the SEC shouldn't have a role, going after like ICOs, like legit and scam, fine. I understand that. But what you shouldn't do is try and burn the entire industry to the ground, effectively what they're doing here. And if a cryptocurrency is sufficiently decentralized, there can't be a common enterprise, and so whatever cryptocurrency you're talking about, whatever is in question, not a security in that case. It's just everything they're doing is a tremendous overstep. Anyway, the piece continues. While regulators were concerned about fraud and abuse in the crypto business, Ripple wasn't a sham. Its underlying technology facilitates cross-border payment using XRP, which was then rivaling the largest digital coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum, for dominance. And speaking of Ethereum, its founders financed their build-out in 2014 through an ICO of the Ether token. Ripple's lawyers had long concluded the XRP sale was even less a security than Ethereum's Ether digital coin. Ether issued through an unregistered ICO. Ripple raised money to fund their business initially through venture capital. So think about this very distinct difference. And I think I had notes to talk about this later, but it's worth mentioning now while it's on the top of my head anyway, and I may revisit it as a result of this. But XRP, it was gifted to Ripple in the beginning, but when it was gifted to Ripple, you must understand that it was worth $0.00. Eventually, XRP was able to be listed, and then there ended up being an open market price for it, but there was no guarantee any of that was going to happen. As far as the way Ripple got funding, it was through venture capital. And there's no precedent set that raising money through venture capital represents some sort of security transaction. And the SEC, they're not even claiming that. They're specifically talking about the XRP that ended up having value, which wasn't a guarantee. There was no guarantee it would have some sort of open market price, but that's what they're complaining about. Really grinds my gears, folks. Really grinds my gears. All right, next. Here I got a little page marker that I titled Conflict of Interest. Let's see what this part is. Truly a massive piece. In order to establish some regulatory clarity for digital currencies, Clayton maintained what people in the crypto business describe as an open door policy with academics and some industry experts. He had already begun to delve into the ICO business, where new coins that resembled securities were trading without being registered, a violation of securities laws. In January 2018, he asked the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz to weigh in on the regulatory debate. The result was a summit involving top industry players and law firms, sponsored by the big venture capital firm that, when concluded, would issue recommendations for how the SEC could regulate crypto. And by the way, listen up, because this is one of the most offensive things about all this, how incestuous these relationships are, frankly. All these people with ties to Ethereum in some way, all these entities, and then you look at what cryptocurrencies got the big pass. And it was Bitcoin, not surprising because it was the first, and they don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and Ethereum. Well, color me surprised. So check this out. Fox Business has learned that the crypto industry was represented in part by XRP's industry counterpart, Ethereum, and players with ties to the Ethereum family, including the law firm Perkins Coie. Ripple was not invited to the summit that took place in March 2018 at the SEC headquarters in Washington, D.C., according to people with direct knowledge of the matter and documents reviewed by Fox Business. Executives at Ripple point out that players associated with Ethereum had a major role in influencing the SEC's eventual thinking on crypto. Though people inside the meeting counter this, stating the purpose was to come up with a balanced view of how crypto could be regulated in the future. Okay, so that's pushing back against Ripple. No. This is a balanced approach for everybody. Oh, okay, right. So if that's the case, if the approach was balanced, why does it just happen to favor Ethereum so much? Why did Ethereum end up just doing so well, despite the fact that there was an ICO in 2014? Because look, the fact of the matter is, back in 2014, the SEC didn't know how the hell they were going to handle this. They didn't know if they thought that Ethereum was a security. They didn't know if they thought XRP was a security. This is pretty gosh darn clear, isn't it? So that's not surprising. Years pass, they look into it as the industry gets bigger, and as it turns out, there had been enough development at this point with people in high places that had ties to Ethereum in one way or another, and they do cite this accurately. Charles and Eleanor, they accurately cite that there isn't direct evidence tying any of these executives to anything that you would necessarily consider illegal, at least to this point. But man, how about where there's smoke, there's fire? And so I respect the approach. Don't misunderstand me. I respect the approach. They're doing the right thing. They're just reporting, and it's a matter-of-fact statement. And I've said this too, though. There isn't direct evidence. I've been very clear about that. But this does not pass the smell test, so far as I'm concerned. It most certainly does not. All right. Next. Here we go. Piece continues. That said, Perkins Coie is also a member of an Ethereum advocacy group known as the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, according to the Alliance's website. Andreessen invests in startups that use Ethereum and Bitcoin as their main blockchain, according to the firm's website. Isn't that surprising? So again, the couple of the biggest firms here helping to, helping the SEC to determine what is a reasonable path forward. They just so happen to have interests in Ethereum. Just so happen, right? It's just a coincidence, though. That can't be the reason, right? That Ethereum has fared so well when it comes to potential regulatory scrutiny from the SEC, right? There's no way. There's no way, right? All right, well, now take a look at this. I have my little page marker here. I wrote Hinman's speech. So here we go. In a prepared speech at a conference sponsored by Yahoo Finance, Hinman said that applying the disclosure requirement to current transactions in Bitcoin and Ethereum, quote, would seem to add little value, end quote. In other words, Bitcoin and Ethereum were not going to be considered securities in the eyes of the SEC. He made no mention of XRP, which set off alarm bells inside Ripple's San Francisco headquarters. Over the next 2 years, Ripple officials and its legal team met several times with key officials at the SEC. These former Clayton SEC officials tell Fox Business that they specifically warned the Ripple team that the unregistered sales of XRP meant they were operating outside SEC laws. Management's direct involvement in Ripple's operations also meant it failed the decentralization test, which means the sales were no different than the sale of stock. They needed to register sales of XRP with the commission or they would face enforcement action, and that Ripple was playing rolling the dice on the platform's future. And so, look, this is where as far as I'm concerned, it's a matter of fact. The SEC is wrong. The SEC is wrong on the facts. XRP is decentralized as Ripple has no special powers over the ledger. And here you have the SEC claiming that Ripple's operations fail a decentralization test because they're selling XRP and they have large quantities effectively. Presumably that's what they're getting at here. Well, that has nothing to do with whether or not the XRP and the XRP ledger are decentralized. You have to look at the control functions. And so at this point, what percentage of validators does Ripple even control? I don't know off the top of my head what is it. I think it's something like 3%, 2%, something like that. It's super low, which is why they proposed at least one amendment in the past that the network shot down. Because you have to have an 80% approval of validators, so that they have to vote, and then that has to be sustained for a full 2-week period, and then it will get implemented. And it weren't anywhere near that. And so again, how does the XRP ledger not pass decentralization given that there is no central authority? I'm telling you, the SEC is wrong on the facts here. And if justice is done, history is going to show that. Piece continues. Ripple continued to argue the opposite was true. Ripple was largely financed by venture capital. XRP is a freestanding cryptocurrency that's held by Ripple officials and many other investors. Ethereum, with its ICO, was clearly closer to breaking the law by remaining unregistered. Ain't that the damn truth? All right, let me flip ahead a little bit now. Don't want to miss anything. Here we go. All right. Now you can see why I can't cover the whole 30 pages. Can you imagine how long this video would be? I don't know, like 30 hours probably, one hour per page. Here we go, though. Oh, yes. Clayton. Now, this is interesting, too. So, yeah, a little bit about the Hinman speech here, but Clayton had, and I love that Fox is pointing this out, Clayton had his fingers on this. And I don't know how many people even realize that, even within the XRP community. Check this out. And that's, by the way, by the time I finish reading this section, it should be crystal clear that this is an official position of the SEC. The Bill Hinman speech, like I'm telling you, Clayton had his grubby little mitts on this. And so I don't see how it is that the very top guy at the SEC can be, can be helping another top individual at the SEC put out something like this, but it's still not official. And the reason it's not official SEC decree is because they want as much, let's say, flexibility legally as possible. And so why would they want to tie their own hands up? Of course they don't want to. Anyway, in March 2018, the SEC received a white paper from leading venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, a big investor in Ethereum and sponsor of the aforementioned crypto summit, that proposed a so-called safe harbor for token sales. The paper states that Ether, despite its earlier ICO, is a good example of a type of token that has become so decentralized it should not be deemed a security, thus keeping it outside SEC oversight. Hinman would spell out much of his thinking, and that of the SEC's, in a June 2018 speech at a conference sponsored by Yahoo Finance, the financial news and data website. Whether he knew it or not, Hinman was about to make crypto history, laying out publicly and for the first time why certain cryptos were operating legally and why, in the opinion of the SEC, many weren't. The event took place in San Francisco, but the entire crypto world would soon take notice. Before he began, Hinman provided what SEC officials described as a standard disclaimer, telling the audience that the remarks represented his views and not necessarily those of the SEC. And listen to this. This is the money part right here, in my opinion. What he didn't say was that his boss, Clayton, was clearly in the information flow. A source with direct knowledge of the matter says Clayton provided some reactions after reviewing the text before the event. Folks, how could it possibly be that you can have this level of involvement from the people at the highest levels of the SEC and put out statements like this, and it still is not official SEC decree? What a bunch of nonsense BS. This is not right. This is this does not pass the smell test. Hinman himself would later concede in a post-speech interview that the rationale for the speech was that, quote, the chairman and the SEC, end quote, wanted to, quote, be clearer, end quote, and transparent, also in quotations, about crypto regulation. So Hinman himself said the chairman and the SEC wanted to be clearer and more transparent. Like, this seriously burns my biscuits. Do they think we're stupid? No, they are just bad people. These are not good people. Whatever their motives are, it's definitely not something that is helping investors. It's not protecting investors, which is part of their freaking mission. Hold on, let me, next page, all right. Piece continues. He made no mention of Ripple and XRP, a glaring omission that quickly made its way back to Ripple's nearby offices, leading to a series of frenzied meetings between key Ripple executives, including Garlinghouse, SEC officials, and Hinman himself. Ripple and its lawyers, who included famed federal prosecutor and former SEC chief Mary Jo White, argued their operations were not materially different from those of Ethereum. In a 2019 video of an Ethereum conference reviewed by Fox Business, Lubin said that Ethereum wasn't going to be scalable. That's a quote. Wasn't going to be scalable at its inception and needed to be improved. Ripple has argued that Lubin was suggesting that Ethereum wasn't decentralized until well after it began, contradicting one of Hinman's and the SEC's rationales for not declaring Ether a security. So let me just pause to note, the XRP ledger was ready from the beginning. Funds were not raised to make it just work. It just worked. It just did from the beginning. That's important because that goes back to Hinman and the SEC's guidance, the rationale. Exactly. So Charles and Eleanor are pointing out very important facts here, I think it's safe to say. Piece continues. They also argued that XRP should not be conflated with Ripple. Both were separate legal entities. Ripple executives held XRP, as do thousands of investors, actually millions. Taken together, Garlinghouse and Larson had no legal responsibility to register their XRP sales, even if the money was used to finance the Ripple platform. Damn frickin' straight. That is absolutely correct. Let me move a little further here. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Okay. Ah, yes, Gensler. Gensler, oh, I love this stuff. Don't you just love how when you put something on the internet, it's like there forever. It is. I love it because Gary Gensler said some stuff that is really at odds with claims that the SEC is making in their suit against Ripple, and this is actually highly consequential. It has to do with SEC dictator and supreme leader Kim Jong-un. Yes, indeed. Take a look at this. It's just one sentence I want to read on this. At an MIT event titled The Business of Blockchain, he, referencing Gary Gensler here, said that Ripple and Ethereum, quote, needed clarity, end quote, from the SEC about whether or not they classify as securities. Well, okay, and I understand. That was a few years back. It was before Gensler was SEC chair. How is it, though, that, and I think that was probably 2018, I'm pretty sure it was. How is it that back in 2018, you're recognizing what we all know to be true, which is that there is not finality or legal certainty surrounding XRP and really the broader crypto space? How is it that you knew that in 2018, and now, once you become the supreme leader of the SEC, you're now Kim Jong-un, how is it that now you think, oh yeah, no, there's been clarity all along? How is that? Because I'll tell you what, I want to see 2018 Gary Gensler debate 2021 Gary Gensler. I just want to see who wins right there, because they're very different people apparently. It just don't make no damn sense to Moon Lambo. And you know I'll just say, like, obviously he's lying. Like he's lying. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. He's being a lying liar. Really steams my vegetables, folks. Getting all steamed up in this bitch. All right. Crypto industry threat. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And as we've known for some time, it's not just XRP holders that are in an unfair and scary position here. Take a look at this. Some industry insiders tell Fox Business that if the SEC is successful in court in proving XRP is a security, Gensler might go back and apply that standard to Ethereum, further complicating the crypto business. Would Ethereum have to repurchase the tokens it sold to finance its platform, as the SEC may force Ripple to do with XRP? Gensler has avoided questions of whether Ethereum should be held to the same standard as XRP and face regulatory enforcement for its unregistered 2014 ICO. Right. Well, the whole industry, again, should be very scared here, especially if the worst happens for XRP holders and Ripple. It's pretty much over in the United States. From a regulatory perspective, I don't even know how you come back from that. The SEC would have so much more power, and not justifiably, and everything's a security. Just everything. It's just bye-bye crypto in the United States because of reasons. And so, look, I understand we're sitting here talking about how the SEC effectively has protected Ethereum, but now you have a different dictator in charge. It's no longer Jay Clayton. It's Kim Jong-un. So he could. We don't know. He could come back. I don't know if he's going to, because he might have concerns about it making his organization look bad, and he's in charge, like what they've done in the past, this and that. So maybe for the optics of it, he won't. But I think he wants to. And don't be surprised if he does. I'm not going to predict it, but don't be surprised if he does. I'm just saying. All right, next. Here we go. Yes. Oh, yeah. I want to point out one thing that was it's the only thing I'm going to point out in this piece that is not correct. There are other like little things that I don't think were worth nitpicking about here. But there is one matter-of-fact thing that I just thought was worth bringing up, and this doesn't take away from the overall incredible work of Charles and Eleanor, but I just wanted to say something about this. They write here, the SEC's position was simple and steadfast. Ripple and XRP are intrinsically linked. They were created by the same people, and XRP had granted Ripple billions of dollars in the digital coin that executives used to build out the platform and become incredibly wealthy. And so that's actually not quite true. First of all, XRP didn't grant anything because XRP is not a sentient creature. So it was the creators of XRP that did grant a bunch of XRP to Ripple. That is true. But they didn't grant billions of dollars of XRP. They couldn't have, because XRP was worth precisely $0.00. So Ripple was gifted an asset that was quite literally worth absolutely nothing. Just to be clear, so they weren't gifted billions and billions of dollars. They were gifted this thing. Maybe it was going to be useful in the future. They didn't even freaking know. They got all their funding from venture capital. It's certainly at that stage in the game. And yeah, they did end up selling XRP along the way, but they've also been very transparent about that. And that doesn't bug me one little bit. I mean, in terms of the percentage of XRP transactions globally that come from Ripple, it's just like it's so small that anytime Ripple sold XRP on a global level, it's never moved the price, not one time in the nearly decade that they've been around, and that's provably true. The global price has never moved. So I just don't care. I just don't care. So not the hugest of deals. I just thought I'd just clarify that. Then, a little bit further. Sorry, just bear with me here. I'm just flipping through the page. There's just a lot going on here. I think this is the last section I got for you. Yeah, this is a longer than normal Moon Lambo video, so props to you if you're still here at the end. All right, now this gets down to some stuff about attorney John Deaton. I had to make sure I covered a good chunk of this. Check this out. I just found this really fascinating. I think I'm going to sue the SEC, John Deaton groaned as he read the news just before Christmas in 2020 that Wall Street's top cop had filed securities violation charges against Ripple and its top executives for failing to register sales of the XRP digital coin as a security. Just days after the SEC case, Deaton, a relatively unknown litigator in Providence, Rhode Island, filed one of his own, a class action suing the commission for overstepping its authority in declaring XRP a security. In January, someone asked me how long I've been practicing securities law, Deaton said. My response, 2 weeks. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, because it wasn't his area of expertise, but you'll see as I go through this further, and you may know some of this anyway. Like, he was just as offended by all of this as we are. He holds XRP, and he's publicly stated it's not even his largest holding. But it's not the point. I mean, it's still something. I mean, it's rather substantial, actually. And he feels just as offended, and luckily, since he is an attorney, he was in a position where he could do something. And we're all very thankful for that, quite frankly, here. So anyway, I just thought it was kind of funny, like, this is at least at the time, was an entirely new area of law for him, but it mattered that much. And I just think it's admirable. It's worth pointing out here. And it was also kind of a funny response. How long have you been doing this? 2 weeks. Anyway, the case is ongoing and currently seeking class action status. Deaton's journey into securities law is certainly unconventional. The 53-year-old former U.S. Marine attorney was now in private practice, specializing mostly in asbestos-related litigation. He never argued a securities law case, though he liked to invest. After reading Satoshi Nakamoto's famous Bitcoin treatise, he got hooked on crypto, actively trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, and most recently the XRP digital coin because he considered it the most user-friendly of all the cryptos to trade. When I purchased XRP, it appeared in my wallet immediately, Deaton tells Fox Business. The others took hours to clear. But XRP would have other, more significant problems as a target of a high-profile SEC regulatory action. After the SEC filed the case, XRP fell 70% in just a few days. Today it trades around $1, after hitting a high of $3.84 in 2018. Now, Deaton was incensed as he watched his $600,000 in XRP go up in smoke. But as he began to read up on securities law, he quickly concluded that he had a case, since the SEC's actions, while directed at Ripple and its leadership, had a more disparate impact, crushing passive holders of XRP who aren't involved in the company's platform. It's one thing for the SEC to sue Ripple for what they did, he said, but they were now attacking XRP holders who bought the crypto in the secondary market without knowledge of what Ripple was doing. Damn. What an excellent piece, right? My gosh. And again, I just highlighted the parts that I found to be most fascinating. Like, it's basically a novel. Wow, I love the thoroughness, and man, if I didn't think it would be completely absurd to do so, I would have just gone through the whole thing, and like for a little bit I considered doing it. I was like, I could do like a multi-part thing, but I was like, that might be too much. I was like, let me just go through, let me read it, let me highlight and take some notes along the way, and just kind of present it to what the stuff that I found to be the most fascinating. But if you do have the time, read the whole thing. They just did a bang up job here, and it's to be applauded. And so again, they're coming from an unbiased point of view, and purely by them getting the truth out here, Charles and Eleanor, they're helping XRP holders because the facts of this case are on XRP holders' side. Whatever happens with Ripple, even if they end up paying a fine and some sort of settlement, this or that, okay, fine, whatever. Just don't listen to that. Do not mess with my XRP, damn it. Like, do not do that. So I'm very appreciative, and I know everybody else in the space is too. So credit where it's due. Fantastic. I can tell they put an absurd amount of work in this. In fact, here's a tweet from Eleanor when she initially shared this the other day. She wrote, "Here it is. The piece we've been working on for 2 months and my very first investigative report. As Charles Gasparino has mentioned, we've reported the facts fairly and to the best of our ability and made a conscious effort to give everyone mentioned a voice." Yeah, and they did. And as I went through and read this, you'll see that they were seeking to get comment and input from everybody that they wrote about in here. And you'll notice that pretty much the only people that I can recall off the top of my head that responded or provided any sort of comment were from Ripple. And well, there's obviously Attorney John Deaton, but other than that, yeah, it's just people at Ripple. That was it. The SEC, nobody else. Go figure. Why is it that they don't want to talk? Isn't that kind of strange? What does that tell you? All right, well, thank you very much for sticking around to the end. I very much appreciate all the support, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.